Get the keys to the kingdom. Get the keys to the kingdom.
Today or what you're going to do tomorrow. He said, don't get caught up in pride, thinking that you can predict what's getting ready to come down in your life tomorrow. He says, when you get ready to do something, you say, if y'all willing. Are y'all in the room with me? You can make the best promises, but you better tag those promises with if y'all's willing. But when it comes to the Most High, you do know he doesn't have to do that, right? He doesn't have to say, well, maybe if the circumstances are right, and maybe if I don't get in a car accident, or maybe if I don't catch a cold, or maybe if I don't oversleep, or maybe if my check come in on time. No, when it comes to him keeping his promises, nothing can stop him. And therefore, he admonishes us to let our yeas be yea and our nays be nay, because it mirrors his personality. Now watch this. His promises are kept when it comes to destroying his foes. His promises are kept when it comes to destroying his enemies. His promises are kept when it comes to, watch this, killing the adversary. Okay, let me see if I can say it again until y'all catch it. His promises are, watch this, are kept when it comes to wiping out all that oppose him. There's a day of judgment coming. And on that day, he won't be like, you opposed me your whole life, but, you was kind of a cool person, so I think I'm just going to let you slide. There ain't going to be no letting you slide into the kingdom. Nobody slides into the kingdom. As a matter of fact, there's a verse in the Holy Manuscript that says that even the righteous will scarcely be saved. Now, what does that mean? He's saying that if the righteous make it into one of the gates to the city, they're going to make it hollering, hallelujah! Great glory be to the one and only Yahuwah who provided the sacrifice. In other words, they ain't coming in talking about, I'm in because of what I've done. No, baby. You're in because of who you believe. Which means, of course, follow. Now, I don't get into that because that's not where I'm going. I want you to see something. If you're not with him, then he's going to destroy you. It's either you're with me or you're against me. Now, that's a long introduction, but I wanted to lay that down because the prophets of Jeremiah's day were preaching a message that was one-sided. Yah is a Yahuwah of Ahava. Yah is only the Yah of love. But he's not the Yah of Zabah, which is, don't worry about Judgment Day and war and battle and all that stuff. Get out of here with that. It's all about love. A brother just came to me the other day and we talked. He hadn't seen him in a long time. He said, man, how you doing? I said, I'm fine. We did the little chit chat, small talk, and then he got right to the point. He said, man, what are you preaching these days? He said, I heard you into that black stuff. And I'm so used to it now that I don't deal in those kind of areas anymore. I says, no, I'm into understanding the Bible. Watch this. From the eyes and the culture of the Hebrew people that wrote it. And then he said, well, what difference does that make? And I said, ooh, brother, we don't have time. We got a coffee shop. Man, all the coffee in this place be gone by the time it's way too deep. And he said, well, man, as far as I'm concerned, this is what he told me. It's all about love. And I wanted to go deep into it, but I just knew it wasn't the right time. The question is, first of all, what is love? Because our understanding of love being a feeling or an emotion or something like that is not a Hebrew idea for ahava at all. In English, you can say, I love God and I love pizza. You get that? And you use the same word. So you mean to tell me that God is sort of like your pizza? I heard one brother give this illustration. He said, some people can say, I love fish. Say, oh, you love fish? Say, yeah. In English, you can get away with that. You can't get away with that in Hebrew. Because you don't really love fish. Because if you love that fish, you let him go. If you love fish, you put it back in the water. Y'all in the room with me? You love you. And you love how the flesh of warm fish tastes on your palate and how it feels going down your throat. In Hebrew, that wouldn't be loving fish. In Hebrew, that would be hating the fish and loving yourself. Y'all in the room? So you can see how the language. So Yah doesn't leave it up to you to decide and to define love. He says, if you love me, keep my commandments. How'd I get there? Oh, talking about, he said that's only about love. So in my mind, because this message was already on my mind, but I just didn't have time to really deal with him about this. But I was going to say, but what you going to do with this title in your King James Version and say Lord of Hosts? But in the Hebrew, of course, it's Yahuwah of Sabaoth. What you going to do with that? The army, the combat, the battle, the hardship, the war. Are you just going to ignore the fact that our holy manuscript has more to say about judgment and battle than it does about what you consider to be love? Now, this is going to throw some of y'all completely off. Even in his battle and in his judgment, it is an expression of his love. Biblically. Whew. Another word, write this down, for Yahuwah, another root word, has to do with the self-existing or ever-living. And we get a very interesting idea from this idea of ever-living or self-existent, and it means to be consistent. Now, I'm still dealing with the first few words of this verse. Yahuwah, by his very name and nature, does not change. Do you hear me, Zion? The very nature of his name means he's the same. Woo. Yesterday. He's the same today. And he'll be the same tomorrow. I didn't say he changed, did I? He was not one way with Adam and then decided to be a different way with Noah. and then kind of decide I'll be a little bit different with Joseph. And I'm going to kind of hang out a little different with Abraham, and I'm going to teach something different through Moses, and then I'll teach something different through the prophets. No, it doesn't matter. When you pick up the manuscript, you're going to see him constantly the same. Now, don't take my word for it. He said it. He said, I don't change. And for those of you who want to reject the Old Testament, which is a joke, by the way, you cannot say you keep the New Testament when the New Testament is the Old Testament. If you're going to get rid of the Old Testament, you're not going to have no Bible left, baby. I read in the Old, what y'all call the Old. He says, I am Yahuwah, I change not. And then I turn around in Hebrews and what y'all call the New Testament, and he says, Yahushua HaMashiach is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He don't change. Now, this is going to sound weird to some of you all who want to nitpick my message, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. He can't change. You see, all of the universe is dependent on him staying the same. If he alters anything, it doesn't matter what it is, if he alters the DNA of a blade of grass, we're in trouble. The grass don't grow, and then, of course, the grass don't grow, then none of the animals, and y'all get it? And eventually the cycle is the whole world die of starvation. He can't change. He can't change because his word is established in heaven. He doesn't change, which means this. And I've got to put this out there. There's no such thing as an Old Testament God. Bernard, you got me? And a New Testament God. Now you're dealing with what? Two gods. You don't have an Old Testament God that's this way, and then you get a New Testament God that's like, let's go against everything that Old Testament God did, because that Old Testament God was about war and fighting and mean and destruction and all that. We need a New Testament God who's about love and peace and joy. Oh, y'all ain't reading the manuscript. Because if I had time, I would tell you how the HaMashiach in his own words said that he's going to take all of his enemies and have them killed at his feet. That out of his mouth comes a two-edged sword, and he will trample the winepress all by itself. And when you see him, you'll say, what in the world is those garments looking like they've been dyed? He said, that ain't dye, that's blood. So what? That's blood. Yeah, it's blood. What you been doing? Killing. I am not only a Yah B'Havav, I'm a Yah of Tzibah. So I want you to see that. I want you to really catch that. Because if he hates something in the Old Testament, he hates it in the New. If he commands it in here, if he commands it, which y'all call the Old, he commands it in the New. Oh, I know what y'all thinking. Y'all saying, well, the Old Testament was before we had computers and Apple iPhones and stuff. He doesn't change. Ooh, I could preach a whole sermon just on that. He doesn't change. He doesn't change. And I'm glad about it. That's why I don't have a problem singing, give me that old time religion. If it was good for the Hebrew children, it's good enough for me. Now he says, understanding that our Elohim is an Elohim of war, he said, don't listen to prophets that speak unto you. Do you see that word? That word speak is the word that we know by heart. Y'all might not know it. In English, but you know it's called the Shema. And of course, the Shema is to hear. Is to hear. He says, don't listen. Don't listen to these people. It means don't hear them. And the idea is don't take heed. Do take heed to him. Don't take heed to them. In other words, when they're up talking, don't listen to them. He said, don't listen to them. Don't listen to the words of the prophets. Don't listen to them. Don't give any heed to them. And that word there, if y'all know that word is debar in Hebrew, which is dalet bet resh, and it has the idea of a discourse or speech. He says, do not listen to the discourse or the speech, or don't listen to the sum of what is being spoken by these prophets. Don't do it. Don't listen to them. So wait a minute, man, I thought they was called. Oh, no. They're not called. I'll get to that next week. That's not today's message. He said, but the Nabi, the pastor, the preachers, that word Nabi, if you want to look it up, it's, I think, in the Strongs, it's 5030. And it's Nun Bet Aleph. And one of the reasons why these people are so dangerous is because if you understand what the Nun is, a seed, fish, activity, and life, and if you know that the Bet represents the house, and you know that the Aleph represents the champion or the first or the great ox or the strength, the reason why you can't listen to these people is because they are, watch this, putting a life into the house that's supposed to be that which the Aleph, Yahuwah, is teaching. They're supposed to be teaching the house what he told them to say. And he says, so these people are spokesmen, but I don't want you to listen to these people. Why? Because I didn't talk to them. Now you can go down and keep reading this chapter, and you'll find that he says later, I'll get to that I didn't call these people. But I want you to catch this point. Don't miss it. Every preacher, prophet, teacher, pastor who gets up to speak are not called by Yah. I better put that down, because some people say, well, I don't believe that because, why would a person fake like he was a preacher? There's a whole lot of reasons. But for now, just know that they're not all called. What your responsibility is, Zion, the source of their message. Did you catch what I said? It's not how they say it. It's the source of what they're saying. How a person says something is not it's not even closely related to how important it is that the source is right. I get excited. Somebody wrote me online and said, you sound like a Baptist preacher. And I first I took offense, but I realized that basically worldwide there's ignorance in the world concerning our people. We are a nation of orators. And part of our culture is what's called call. Come on, talk back to me. And what? See, when I said talk back to me, that meant what? Respond. So y'all caught that right. I said, y'all talk back to me. Because that's who we are. It's called call and response. Now, without getting too far off base, because I will do a lesson on this, the reason that our culture is call and response is because this manuscript is call and response. You never read the psalm where it said, let Zion say? You never read the ascending psalms, Psalm 118 through Psalm, you never read those psalms where it says, and let all Zion say, and let Zion say, and they say, amen, or let Zion, praise Yah, or whatever. You all know that that's part of who we are. It's called call and what? And we, watch this, and we live it out in our families. You could be talking to your child, and your child sitting there staring at you. So you say, okay, I want you to do so-and-so. And they don't say nothing. You say, you come right back with, did you hear me? Am I in the room by myself? Now you say, now on the surface, that looks weird, right? Sounds, they didn't say anything, they were listening. But to you waiting for a what? A response. So let me say it like this. Part of the culture, listen to me, that we have naturally as children of the Most High Yah is call and response. Don't let a person belittle you, Zion, in any way because a preacher or a deliverer of the message is requiring a response from the people. It is a part of who we are and what we do. The prophets did it all the time. The writers of the Bible did it all the time. There was always this idea that it's not just a dictation, but it is a communication. When we stand up to preach, it's not me standing up on a high level preaching down to you. It's us together communicating back and forth. And sometimes what ends up happening is our call and response moves to the area of music. You know why? It becomes rhythmic. Now, having said that, watch this. Just because somebody knows how to use the rhythm and the call and response, watch this now, don't mean what they're saying is true. Just because a preacher can hum, don't mean what he said is true. Yeah, because humming is just what we do. I said, I'm starting to feel something. What you doing? Humming. It's called humming. We ain't got no problem humming. But watch this. It ain't the hum that's the problem. How about the hooping? I know he's all right. I know he's all right. Why are you doing that? No, it's none of your business. I might just feel like doing it. It ain't the hooping that's right. When you hear a preacher, get over the hum. Get by the hoop. Get to the source of his message. Where did that message originate from? Now let me share this. He says in verse 16, he said they make you vain. Now, that word there is a mistranslation. Oh, I shouldn't say a mistranslation. It's a bad translation. The actual Hebrew word means they're leading you. That's the picture. The Hebrew word there, habab, he, bet, lamed, is they're leading you. Be careful of these false preachers and prophets that are leading you. That's what he's really saying. He's saying, don't listen to the people that are leading you. Now, here's the issue. Here's the actual understanding. That word means or carries with it the idea of foolishly. So the point is this. Don't follow or listen or hearken to any preacher that's leading you to act foolish. In other words, this is what they're doing. Most preachers and pastors are, for the most part, if they're not teaching Torah, for the most part, they're just filling people with empty hope. The word in the text is vain. They get up every Sunday with one thing on their mind. How am I going to make the niggas feel good today? I got to find me a message that's going to be a good one. Because I got to make them feel good. So they get up in the morning and they're working on their hum. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Come here. Everything going to be all right this morning. Oh, I do it, y'all. Oh, yeah. And they ain't studied a lick, ain't went to the manuscript or nothing. Then they get to a stop sign and say, well, let me find something to preach. And they open their Bible and they say, oh, it's a good one right here. I'm going to preach on stop sign. Yeah, don't run the red light. You can wreck your life, y'all. Don't run the red light. You can mess your car up. And everybody be like, yeah, I ain't gonna run the red light. They leave out there and say, what red preacher did? He said, don't run the red light. He said, well, that's... Wow. And he said, what text did he use? Where was the root of the message? Now, I'm trying to say something here. I'm trying to make something plain. It's not the hoop that's the problem. You get it? It's not the holler that's the problem. The problem is the source of the message. Because that same person that will preach, don't run the red light, will not preach to keep the commandments of Yah. If you tell somebody don't break the law of running a red light, why would you then tell them, but you can break the laws of Yah? I'm talking about source. I'm trying to get to this because I want you to see something. Foolish and vain hope is this. Tell the people what they want to hear. And the main message is, no bad is going to ever happen to you. That's the main message right now. And this is what the Most High says. He says, they speak unto you or make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart. That word for vision there has to do, I put it like this, their source of vision. The idea is that most of them get up and claim to have received something while they were in some type of ecstatic state. In other words, they're saying, you know, how many of y'all heard them say stuff like, the Lord just told me last night that what we need to be, the Lord told me somebody in here about to be a millionaire. No, not a millionaire, a billionaire. No, the Lord told me, I'm not joking. First person up with $100 in his plate, he about to bring that back to you 10 times. Oh, wait a minute, I just heard something else from the Lord. If you bring $500, he about to, Lord, you joking. Wait a minute, hold on. Are you talking about giving somebody $100,000? And the next thing you know, everybody is filled with this vanity see all your problems being taken care of. You're looking over a room full of Hebrews who don't even know they Hebrew Israelites, eating all manner of swine's flesh and things that are unpalatable and unconscionable to be consumed by humans, and then you're going to get up like you some prophet saying, okay, somebody here got high blood pressure. Spirit told me, somebody in this room, somebody in here, watch this, is suffering with a backache. Visions, are y'all catching my point? They're claiming to have a vision, and then they offer you false hope. They don't tell you. The Torah says, get that nasty swine and those nasty roaches out of your diet. They don't say that. They just say, Yah's about to take them pills away from you. And somebody say, oh, pretty Lord. Then they holler, that's me, running, that's me. And that thing, you know, the music starts playing. Next thing you know, for some reason, you emptying your whole wallet. Vain hope is my point. I ain't mad at the music. I'm talking about the source is bad. Now let me get to this close because y'all been patient with me. This is the idea. They fill you with a vain hope, an empty hope, a lie. Watch this. And you know where they get the source? Do you know where they come up with this stuff? Let me give it to you. They just make it up. The overwhelming majority of all pastors, preachers, prophets, speakers, teachers are talking about stuff they just made up. And then when you push them on it, they say, well, it's not in the Bible, but the Spirit. I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway because this may be somebody's first time watching one of our videos. When you tell me that the Spirit told you to have a Christmas party this year, you made that up. When you tell me that this year the Holy Spirit told you to make sure you have the tallest tree in the park in your house, you made that up. Y'all not telling you to go cut down no tree and bring it in your house. Did y'all hear me? When y'all say it's Easter time and the Most High told me that we need to rent the park so that we can have the biggest Easter egg hunt in the city, they just made that up. Let me give you some man-made stuff real quick. The Trinity is man-made. If you read Torah, you know better than to swallow any idea concerning Trinity. Torah says, Hear, O Israel. Yahuwah, your Elohim is, come on, talk back, one. So anytime a doctrine starts off by saying these three, come on, talk back to me. So somebody's thinking, so how'd they come up with that? How'd they come up with the Trinity then? Somebody just sat back and made it up. Now, when I say Trinity, I'm talking about the biblical, the encyclopedia and religious definition. It's made up. Let me give you another one. That Sunday is the Christian Sabbath. Look that up in the Bible anywhere and see if there's any such thing of a Christian Sabbath called Sunday. So where'd it come from? Y'all please talk back. They made it up. How about this one? That all you have to do is just say something with words. And you can be saved. You can just say it and be saved. Where did that come from? the verse they use comes out of Deuteronomy when they says, if you confess with your mouth, Yahushua HaMashiach. But then the word says, and believe. You can't just confess without believing. And by the way, you have to have him as Lord, but a master. My point, they make it up. All right. Stay with me, y'all, quickly. Torah is not their source. Be leery of any preacher who talks against the Torah. If the Torah is not the source, then you don't listen to that person. If they say we're no longer under Torah, we don't have to teach the Torah, we don't have to live, then you need to immediately stop listening to them. And if a person says we don't listen to nothing in the Old Testament because that was Yah speaking and we now under Jesus Christ, who's different than Yah, then stop listening to him too. Because their heart, which is wicked, is their source and not the mouth of Yah. The Bible is very plain when it says man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yah. Number one, they do not know the mouth of Yah. Anyone who does not know Torah doesn't know the mouth of Yah, because the mouth of Yah is speaking through Torah. So if you're not familiar with Torah, you really don't know the voice of Yah. Torah is his mouth. Number two, they do not want to know the mouth of Yah. So not only do these preachers not know it, but they don't want to know it. How do I know? Because as soon as you say, hey man, let's look at this text together, they say, nah, dude, I'm good. I'm good. Or they'll say something like this. Are you going to show me the New Testament or the Old Testament? You know you're dealing with an ignoramus. If that's their response when you take to them the Holy Manuscript. Who decided that you can pick and choose parts of the Bible? Number three, they also know, this is the heavy one. They also know that the people they preach to don't want to know the words of Yah. See, pastors are they're not crazy. They know that the crowd don't want to hear nothing about this Torah. The crowd wants to hear everything is going to be all right anyhow. The crowd wants to hear no responsibility, no judgment, no punishment, no reckoning day. That's what the people want, and the pastors know it. And therefore, in verse 17, and I'm almost through, y'all been kind, they say to them that despise me. Who? The fake prophets are preaching to people who despise Yah. The people that are flocking to these religious centers, they come with a disposition against the Most High. In other words, before they even show up, they've already made up in their mind, I don't want to follow nothing in that Old Testament. And therefore, they reject him, they despise him. The idea is they treat the word with contempt. You know what contempt means? They can't stand it. So when you say, man, let me show you Deuteronomy. I just happened to me yesterday. I said, Doc, let me show you this verse in Deuteronomy. He said, man, no, that's Old Testament. We ain't in the Old Testament no more. But let's just read it anyway. Oh, no, dude. All I know is this week said, Jesus Christ and him crucified. Which spurned a sermon in my mind that I will be preaching in a few weeks. It's going to take me a while to write it. And the name of the message is going to be, and it's going to have a question mark. It's going to be titled, Is Satan Saved? It's coming. Just be ready for it. Is Satan saved? Whew. But that's coming. All right, now watch this. He said they preach to those who have already rejected the message of Yahweh. And so what they do is they come with a false message. And what is the false message? You shall have peace, which is the word shalom, which comes from 7965 in the Strong, and that word means completeness, soundness. Shalom also means peace, but it means wealth, health, prosperity, tranquility, and security. Now here's the issue. Not that we shouldn't preach shalom, but you cannot preach shalom, watch this, to people who are holding the Most High in contempt. You can't tell people who are rejecting Torah that you're going to have peace. You can't tell people who have rejected the Old Testament that they're going to be tranquil and have health and wealth and prosperity. You can't tell people who don't want to follow this book that everything's going to work out for them in the end. Because the truth is, you're not dealing with the Yahuwah of just Ahavah, but you're dealing with the Ahavah of Teshbah. He's also the one who's the one of war. And if you are against his word, there will be no shalom. He said, there ain't no shalom. Matter of fact, it'll be war. Because he is a Yah of war. And anybody who doesn't want to follow him is against him. Watch this. This is what they say. Verse 17. I'm just going to read it. And they say still unto them that despise me, Yahweh said. This is what they say. They say, Yah said, you're going to have peace. And they say unto everyone that walketh after the imagination, that word really there is stubbornness, of their own heart, no evil's going to come upon you. Ain't that what they preaching today? Verse 18. This is where I was trying to get to my whole time. For who has stood in the counsel of Yah, and hath perceived and heard his word, and marked his word and heard it. This is what he said. None of these guys have ever been in the counsel of Yah. What does that mean, Rev? None of them have ever even been called, can I say it like this, to a council meeting. You know, I live in Madera, and every month Madera has a city council meeting. Guess how many times I've been there? None. I lived in Fresno for several years. They have Fresno City Council meetings every month. Guess how many of those meetings I've been in? None. I don't know what they're saying in the council meeting. You know why? I ain't never been there. I don't get what they're saying in the council meeting until after the council meeting is over. Right? And then they put out a news flash, or they put out a little blurb in the paper. They say, the council decided such and such. Now, here's what he's saying about these prophets. He's saying, these fellas have never stood in the counsel of Yah. And the idea is this. The word is sod in Hebrew, Samit, Yod, Dalet, and it has to do, Samit, Vav, Dalet, and it has to do with the circle. And it's the idea of the inner circle. It's not the ones on the peripheral, but the ones on the inner circle. He says, who has actually been on that inner circle? Say it like this. Who's been invited to be in that company? To sit in the council? In other words, watch this. Another word for it is consultation. Who has been invited to the council meeting so that they can hear what the counselor is actually saying? The one in charge, what he's actually going to do. Here's another word. Which one of these preachers have actually spent enough time in that inner circle to develop a close enough relationship with Yah to speak for him about what he's going to do to his enemies. In Hebrew, it also carries another weird vibe. The prophet is actually saying this. Who got invited to the council meeting that was such a close friend to Yah and was in the company of Yah and got the chance to be so close to the Most High? Watch this point. That he argued with Yah and changed his mind about something. It's the idea of standing before someone. So Yah says, I'm about to take him out. He's saying, which one of these prophets came in here and said, Yah, don't take him out, and then change Yah's mind, so now it's just going to be a peaceful thing? What he's really saying is, these people are lying. They've never stood before Yah because they don't teach Torah. They've never been in the presence of the council of Yah. They've never been in the secret place. Now Jeremiah says, now unlike them, I have. I heard his word. I perceived it. That's why I stood in the place. I shema. I heard his word. I listened to his word. He says, and therefore, when I came out of the meeting, my words from the meeting was completely different than their words. Their words were, peace, peace, everything's going to be all right, relax, y'all's not tripping. Can I say it like this? The pastor said they went to the meeting, and because nobody else went to the meeting but the quote-unquote pastors, the pastors came out of that meeting telling people everything is cool. Do you see where we're going with this? Now, you were privileged to be in the meeting. You should have got the information, but you came out of the meeting telling people everything is cool. The people out here ain't keeping Torah. And here come the pastor. I went to the meeting, the council meeting, and Yahweh said, that's cool. You don't have to keep Torah no more. Oh, I went to the council meeting and you don't have to keep the laws of Yah no more. They're done away with. I went to the council meeting and he told me, forget the Shabbat. That was just something I made up in Genesis and in the law and put people in captivity for and all that. But it's Old Testament, forget it. Write that off now too. Oh, by the way, I went to the council meeting with the Most High Yah, and he told me to tell y'all, forget all those feast days and make sure you put Christmas and Easter and Mother's Day in their place. That's the meeting. That's what we got out that meeting. Oh, by the way, I went to the meeting, and when I came out the meeting, the Most High told me to tell everybody, forget studying Hebrew. It ain't that important. What difference does it make? He told everybody to study English now. Oh, I went to the meeting, and he said, never mind my name is Yahweh or my son's name is Yahushua, and there's no name given under heaven unto men whereby we must be saved. He said, that don't matter no more. Everything is cool. I said, you sure you was in that meeting? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I was in the meeting. Well, what else did they say in the meeting? Oh, the Most High said in the meeting that we can now eat anything we want to eat, no matter what it is, because he don't care about food no more. Oh. Anything else in the meeting? Oh, yeah. He said if you just have faith that you're going to never have any troubles and that all of your bills are going to be paid and you'll never be despised or rejected. What else was taught in that council meeting? Oh, he said it's okay to bow down to Baal now. And he says if you can follow Ashtaroth, no problem, because this is the New Testament, and do whatever you want. It's like, man, you sure you was in that meeting? Yes, me and Yah like this. I was in the secret council. You said, boy, well, sure, a lot has changed. And the preacher comes to you, listen to me, and says, I was at the meeting. I was in the council. And you know what he told me? It's okay to have pride now. It don't come before fall. Pride comes before victory. Oh, I was in the meeting and I found out something. The Most High said, it's okay to lie now. Lying is cool now. Lying is what we do. Are you sure you was in the council meeting? I was in the inner circle. Here's some more. Oh, by the way, y'all said also, sexually speaking, it don't matter what you do. Y'all said it ain't who you love, it's that you love. So anybody want to love whoever you want to love, whether it's a man loving a man like he's married, or a woman loving a woman like they married, or a man want a dog, or a woman want a dog, or a man want a whatever. Y'all not concerned about that stuff no more because I was in the meeting. I was in the council meeting when he said the Old Testament is done away. Can you hear this false prophet telling you it doesn't matter? Everything is cool. There's no such thing now as perverted sexuality. If you were born a man and you feel like you're a woman, then you can just be a woman. And if you're born a woman and you want to be a man, be a man. If you can't tell the difference, be both. Are you sure? Y'all with me now. You can see asking these preachers and pastors, are you sure you was actually in that council meeting? Oh yeah. Me and y'all, we like this. And Jeremiah come out the meeting. Now, get the picture. You got 500 folk claim they was in the meeting. You got one preacher who was actually at the meeting. He comes out on the scene and says, don't listen to all these 500 other preachers. They wasn't in the meeting. And all the people go, ain't no way in the world, Jeremiah, we're going to listen to you over these other preachers, because what these other preachers are saying is exactly what we want to hear. Jeremiah said, okay, let me just tell you what actually was said in the meeting. And then I'm going to go take my seat. Behold, a whirlwind. A whirlwind of Yah has gone forth in fury. Say, what does that mean, Reverend? What does that mean, Reverend? You trying to get poetic? No, I don't understand. I was in the meeting, and what he told me was, I'm sitting in a storm. Matter of fact, not only am I sending it, I've already sent the storm. That's why they call it, they say a storm is brewing off the coast. He says, I've already seen it. He's already whipped up the wind. It's a storm of wind. Now, notice this word. The word for shalom, or for peace, is shalom. But the word for storm is sha'ar. So what he's really saying is not shalom, sha'ar. You see how it sounds in Hebrew? He said, it's not peace, it's wrath. Yah is not excusing his laws, he's keeping and staying to his laws. And he has not changed, he's staying the same. And judgment is coming. Now, which one of these preachers do you really want to see dead? The 500 who's telling you to do whatever you want, or the one that's trying to bring you back to Torah? Well, it's obvious. It's the one like Jeremiah who you want out the way. He said, this is what I see. I see Yah's about to cause pain. I see Yah is about to, and the word is twist, and it comes from the idea of a storm that's twisting, but he also talks about a person who was twisted up. And of course, if you take a human and twist him, that's going to cause a lot of pain, right? So the picture is, I see Yah twisting humans. This is what I mean. Check this out. When a woman is going through childbirth, it feels like, now I don't know this, but this is what they tell me, it feels like they're being twisted out of shape. that their insides are somehow, you get it? And that pain, y'all in the room with me? He said, that's what I see. That's what Yah said in the meeting. A tempest is coming. And verse 20 said, and it ain't going to stop. I don't care what these preachers say. I don't care what these false prophets tell you about everything's going to be all right. I'm telling you, judgment's coming. And the judgment will not stop until Yah accomplishes everything he said he was going to accomplish. Until he wipes it out. Until there's no more enemies. We sing a song. And at the end of that song it says, till every foe is vanquished. All of the enemies of Yah are going to be destroyed. So the good news is you need to get on his side. Now, I'm done. Y'all been kind. Let me share this with you. Next week I want to show you something. He says, in the last days, you're going to consider it. And next week I want to talk to you about the last days. I want to show you that there is a difference between the day Jeremiah preached this and when you would actually see it come to pass. Let me show you that. Because he uses a phrase, in the last day, you'll consider this. In the last days. Which means, it haven't happened yet. We're just getting ready to. We'll get into that next week. Let me give y'all a ray of hope. How do we get out of the storm? How do we get away from the tempest? What's the truth? The truth is we find shelter. And the shelter is in the word of Yah. And the only way that we could get into the word of Yah, to be a part of this family through the Hamashiach, by trusting, which means obeying him. Hallelujah. Every head bowed and every eye closed. During the time